Looking for local? Even more local? CCX Media gives you the option to connect with your community on multiple levels. CCX Create welcomes you, community residents, to connect and experience television in an exciting way. The free TV classes we offer will have you on your way to creating TV, and our wide variety of content can be watched at home or on the go. Connect to what's happening in your community. Visit ccxmedia.org.
Hi, I'm Bob Kaufman. I'm the host of Small Theater, Big Talent. And what we're going to do with our time here is talk to you a bit about why small theater is so wonderful and why you should go to small theater. There are over 125 professional theater companies in the Twin Cities area. Many of them are small and intimate, and the kinds of things that you're going to see there are different than you're going to see at the movies. And the emotional impact of going to a live theater and being in an intimate small theater and having the people acting right in front of you has an impact that is quadruple what you'll get into the movies. So today we're going to talk to one of the artistic director of one of my favorite small theater companies, Gremlin Theatre. His name is Peter Christian Hansen. And we're also going to talk to the lady who is the director of the production that's coming up, and that's called A Steady Rain. And I hope that you guys go see this play and this production. If it's like the many others that I've seen at Gremlin Theatre, it will knock your little socks off. Now, which one of you is Ellen?
That's me.
Hi, Ellen.
Hello.
So tell me how it is that you got into directing plays and what brought you into this career path?
That's a good question.
I know.
I actually thought when I was younger that a career in the theater was a really stupid idea, and I thought it was unrealistic. And so I went to college thinking, I love doing theater, but I'm not going to pursue it. It's not going to be my major. I'm going to do it for fun, and I'm going to get an education degree. But I always ended up kind of gravitating beyond my control back to the theater building and the theater people and the theater process. And so I just ended up majoring in theater. And then I was terrified about what I was going to do when I graduated. Then I graduated. And once again, I just found myself gravitating toward working on plays, teaching kids theater, working with other theater people, having friendships with other theater people. So it kind of was a little bit beyond my conscious decision-making process, but it's just where I landed. And then at a certain point, I just said, okay, we're doing this clearly, so let's do it.
So your mind said no, 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 but your heart said yes, yes, yes?
That's a great way of putting it.
Oh. And you, sir?
You know, I think probably a lot of people that end up in theater end up like that, where you can come up with any number of reasons not to do it intellectually, but it's the thing that you're really called to do or really pulled towards. You know, for me, I had the things that I loved when I was in school were theater and history. And so when I was in college, I was not a theater major. I majored in history and Latin, actually.
Okay.
And so I went back and forth in my mind if I was going to be an actor or if I was going to be a professor. And at a certain point, I knew that I would always regret it if I didn't go into theater. That was the thing that I was the most passionate about, and I almost couldn't stay away from it. And so that's ended up being my career as well.
So I've seen you in about 4 to 6 plays.
Okay.
I forget how many I've seen you in. How many plays do you think you have actually been in since you graduated from college?
75, 80.
75, 80 plays.
Yeah. Probably, and then lots of other smaller projects too, workshops of things, things where you're maybe not doing a full production, but you're working on a play. I am not sure, but I would say at least that many.
So tell me what is as you go back over those 75 plays, what is the one that you think had the most emotional impact on you?
The most emotional impact on me?
Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough.
I didn't say it's going to be easy.
There's a handful
Did
of
I say
plays.
it was going to be easy?
You didn't. You didn't promise anything easy about this. I don't know if I could come up with one that had the most emotional impact on me, but I can tell you that of the handful of contenders, several of them have been ones that I've worked on with Ellen. And so one of the reasons I think that I continually enjoy working with her is because some of my favorite things that I've ever been a part of, and some of the ones that have really meant the most to me and that have had the greatest sort of emotional pull for me have been ones that she and I have done together.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so I think that that's one of the things that's exciting about the next one that we have coming up.
And you, how many plays have you directed?
That's a really hard question. Probably with adult professionals, because I'm a teacher as well, probably like 20, 25. And again, a lot of like workshops of new plays or things like that.
And why did you choose directing rather than being a performer?
You know, I studied acting in college, and I did all of the classes that one would do to be an actor, and I'm really glad I did that because it has helped me understand what actors are experiencing and kind of having a vocabulary that I can share with them. Because it's a craft and it's a skill. It's like anything. It's it's a craft. That's the best way of putting it. I just I found acting extremely nerve-wracking, and it's really hard for me with the way my brain works to just focus on like the one thing. And that's what actors need to do. They need to do a ton of preparation, and then they need to get like really present and just be totally in the moment. And for me, I always had a really hard time just getting really present and being really in the moment. I was always like, you know, what's that actor behind me doing? What's next? Oh no, we set this thing up. So, and I just couldn't quiet my mind. So that's what someone on the other side of the table needs to be thinking about. So that's what a director does. You anticipate, you say, well, how are the lights going to be working with this? And okay, yes, I'm focused on you, but then I'm also thinking about over there. And then really, you know, you're sort of processing the play for the audience ahead of time. That's your job. So I'm just way more comfortable on the other side of the table. I think what actors do is amazing, and I was not at ease with it at all.
What do you think has changed for you between the time that you started on your first play and now your 20th, 21st, or 25th play? What's changed for you as a director?
I think I'm a lot more confident, which makes sense. What is surprising about that is that what I've enjoyed about gaining more confidence is that you let go a little bit. So you think, I need to have all of the answers, but actually you don't. You need to go in willing, you know, be as prepared as you can, and then also be willing to say, I don't know here. What do you guys think? Whereas when I was younger, I think that would have made me feel like I don't know what I'm doing. But now it's like, oh, this is just something that we need to solve together.
So you now have the confidence to be unsure.
Yeah, which actually in a rehearsal room can be very, very valuable, because then some actor or the stage manager or the whoever will say, well, what if you did it this way? And I never would have thought of that. I could have stayed up all night thinking, and I wouldn't have thought of that idea. So it actually helps the process be more creative.
Yeah.
I don't get as stressed out, which I say that, and now watch 2 weeks from now, I'll be like, Peter, I quit. I'm never doing this again. I should never have said that out loud. I take it back. I take it back.
A gazillion decision-making studies, and I know because I am Bob Kaufman and I know almost everything.
Oh, okay.
Okay? A gazillion decision-making studies have shown that group decision-making is better than individual decision-making. So you, as an actor being in 75 different shows, how are you different now than when you began?
Well, I think I'm better at what I do, just from the craft of it. You know, experience makes you better at something, and the more people that you work with, the more people you come in contact with, you develop as an artist better that way. The other thing that's different is that, as an actor, you get older. So you can't play the same parts you did 10, 20 years ago as you do now, and you won't be playing them later. So it's always different because you yourself are different. I'm the same person, but I'm a very different person in some ways now than when I started my career. You bring your life experience to what you're doing, and you can't help but be part of the play yourself. So that's very different. I wouldn't be able to play the roles I did before, and the person I was then wouldn't be able to do what I do now. So that's kind of an interesting thing. And
do you find yourself getting lost in the play? Do you get to the place that you're in such a zone that you kind of forget that you are Peter Christian Hansen?
Well, ideally when you're on stage, yes. I mean, when she was talking about being in the moment and being very present, I mean, that's kind of what you do. You have all this preparation that you do. And then your job is to be somebody else. So then when you're on stage, hopefully you have lost yourself in that, so that even though you know what's coming next, even though you know what just happened, and even though you know you're not this guy, you live as if you were him for this second, and then for the next one and the next one. But then, when it's done, and you can go home.
I saw a play called August Osage County once, and the actress was named Barbara Kingsley.
Oh yeah. She's a
And
friend of mine.
and it was an incredible performance. And my wife and I were going to see a one-woman show about Judy Garland, and she walked in about 2 days after we saw her in the play, and we asked her how she could do that play and do that part over and over and over again, because she played a character that just was extraordinarily self-destructive. And she said it was the hardest play that she'd ever done in her entire life, and that it was extremely difficult. So tell me about Gremlin Theatre, the little gremlin. Tell me about that.
Sure. Well, when you were talking earlier about the power and the experience that you get from small theater, and what it's like to be close, what it's like to be that close to the actors, to be in a house that only seats 100, 150 people, and how special that is. Those are the things that I personally love too, and that's the whole idea behind Gremlin Theatre, is to give that kind of high quality experience in that kind of an intimate setting. So we've been around for a long time now.
I looked, 17 years, I believe.
Yeah, at least. And so we've built several theaters now too. This is actually the third theater that we've built. And each time that we've done it, we've tried to refine how we wanted to present our work and what we were really looking at as a theater space and as a performing company. So the new theater that we just built, that just opened this summer, I think incorporates a lot of the ideas that we think are the best ways to see a show, which is to, it's a 120-seat thrust theater. So you sit on 3 sides.
Thrust. I'm excited about that, because I like the outside of round, which I like even better, but I like the actors coming right out at me.
I like that too. I like being, as an actor, I like being right in the middle. This is a true thrust too. It's really like a 3/4 setup, so it almost feels like a round. So yeah, you're surrounded by the audience, and the audience surrounds the stage. It surrounds the action. I feel that it pulls you in to what you're watching so much more. As a performer, you feel so close to the audience. You feel so connected with them. And that's the kind of experience that I value, both as a performer and when I go and see plays. That's the kind of stuff that usually sticks with me the most.
I was working today on some other stuff. I go to a little coffee house and I sit with my computer and I work away. So I came home. Okay. And on the TV was a movie. Okay. The movie is called The Inside Man. Very good movie. Okay. And I thought to myself, well, this could never be at the Gremlin Theatre. You couldn't do The Inside Man at the Gremlin Theatre. It would be impossible physically to do it. But then I thought about my emotional response to The Inside Man, which I would say was a very high quality movie, and the truth is, I didn't have one. But on the other hand, when I went and saw Sea Marks or Marigold Cleve Coeur, which are all plays that I've seen at your theater company, I was always left with an emotional experience and always left with a memory, kind of memories that were more tactile and more real than the movies. So I like movies. I think they have a place. I don't think you could do Die Hard 1 and 2 at the Gremlin Theatre, but what you can do at the Gremlin Theatre is exceptional. How do you reach out to the public to get them to know about your theater?
Well, that's always ongoing. I mean, I think if every theater company, if they knew exactly how to do that and fill the house all the time, you know, I would be tempted to say they'd be millionaires, but there's no money in theater, so they wouldn't be. They'd just be more successful. That's always the tricky thing, is like, how do you reach people? You know, so we've cultivated an audience over the years who expects to hear from us, and so they look for shows.
How big's your mailing list?
It's several thousand strong. Okay. So we connect with people that way. We connect with people electronically, but also word of mouth is one of the greatest ways to connect with people too. It sounds kind of old-fashioned and like simplest and most grassroots, but that's really the case. And having people be an advocate for your theater too. We have patrons that have been coming to us for years and years and years, and they've reached out to people, and they bring a group of friends, they bring some people too, and so we've slowly grown our audience that way. But it's funny, every time you start a show, you think, well, I hope people come. It's literally a leap of faith every single time, even though they do. We're still in business, and we generally do pretty well. But
do you direct differently for a small theater like this than a larger kind of venue?
Yeah, I always say I was raised in the small theaters, because my first job out of college was at Pillsbury House Theater, and then I've worked a little bit at Illusion Theater, which is probably the biggest theater I've worked at, which I think is 250.
Park Square is bigger.
Oh yeah, Park Square. That's true. That's true. So, but the smaller theater is my comfort place. I mean, I like it. It is intimate. I think it does provide the audience with a really unique experience. I mean, I was going to say, one of the ways that you connect with audiences is if people have had an experience watching a show that had an impact. I mean, a live performance experience. These days we can watch everything at home, and we can watch it over and over, and we can record it, and we can put it on our phone, and we can. And there's something about theater. It's live. This is it. Anything could happen, which is exciting and unique. So if you can offer, in terms of reaching, I think one of the reasons that Gremlin has such a loyal, audience base is because they do come and they say, I'm going to have this experience that's going to be unique and exciting. And even if I don't always love the plays, I know it's going to be something that has integrity, that has high artistic excellence, and that is that intimate experience. I love directing in the little spaces, because you can get very specific and you can take risks that are harder to take in a big space.
Why is that?
I just think you should have your back to half the audience here, because I think that this relationship of you having your back to this part of the audience, for whatever reason, helps the moment of the storytelling, and they can still hear you. And in fact, they can see your belt loops. You're right there, so they're not tuning out. Whereas if you go to a really huge theater and someone's facing away, it's, you just can't handle that because you're shut out.
This is why, for me, I like the small theater. I mean, I can go to a much larger theater, and the performers are excellent, and the production values are excellent. But I'm in row 45, and it's not the same deal. So.
Well, and I think too, it comes back to the kind of plays that you want to do, because it's so fun to go see a huge musical.
I'll go see West Side Story.
Exactly.
Sure. Oh,
you can see
absolutely.
those chorus of dancers, and it's big, and there's huge sets and stuff. But for some of the plays that both Peter and I are attracted to, and that we've done, and that we've enjoyed doing so much, they're smaller, they're more intimate, they're more about relationships, and so they just they're serviced better by being in a small space.
So we got about 9 minutes left. Let's
Okay.
get on to A Steady Rain.
Great.
Tell
Yeah.
me about A Steady Rain.
Sure. It's a 2-person cop noir drama.
Okay. Cop Noir.
Cop noir.
Is Guy
yes.
Noir in it?
No, he's not.
No.
He's not.
Okay.
No. It's these 2 guys who've been best friends since they were in kindergarten, growing up in Chicago, and they both go into the police force together. They're partners. They're inseparable.
Okay.
The one guy, Denny, he's sort of the alpha male, sort of the dominating kind of a guy.
Okay.
And he has a family. He has all the good things in life. He tends to be a little bit more violent and out of control, and maybe blending the lines of what's allowed, what's not allowed, what's legal, what's illegal. And then his partner Joey, who basically plays second fiddle or sidekick to Denny.
The beta.
Yeah, who's he has at the beginning of the play we learn he's had a severe problem with alcohol, and Denny's trying to straighten him out.
Okay.
And so he's staying at Denny's house a lot, and becomes almost part of their family. And as the play goes on, we're told in a series of interviews, or interactions, both with the audience and with each other,
Okay.
the story of how the events of this summer that start to spiral out of control and take their life off the rails in this wildly unpredictable manner starts to come about. It's told a little out of order. It's told, sometimes the guys contradict each other. They don't tell the same story. Sometimes they're right back in and reliving what's happened. Sometimes they're talking about things, it seems as though it's in the past, sometimes as though it's in the present. It's a fascinating play, fascinating play.
Who wrote it?
A guy named Keith Huff.
What about him?
Sure, he writes for TV's Mad Men, and he writes for House of Cards.
Okay.
And so I think it's the kind of material that he's very at home and at ease in.
Okay.
It was on Broadway a few years ago with Daniel Craig and Hugh Jackman.
They're not in this
And,
production?
they're not in this production. They
No?
were unavailable.
Oh, they went available?
Yeah. So we just put 2 other guys in it. Just hoped it worked. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a really, really fascinating play about the relationship between these 2 guys. What happens when their lives really start to careen out of control, and how not only their relationship changes, but who they are starts to change. And in some ways, they pull on other aspects of each other. Yeah, it's quite good, and I think it's just a riveting play.
Are you alpha or the alpha male or the beta male?
I'm playing the beta male in this one.
See, now that I'm happy about that, because almost every play I've seen you in, you were in Death of a Maiden, were you not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the woman was the alpha male.
That's right.
In that particular play, but mostly you're the alpha male, and I'm glad to see you playing.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I like new challenges. I like playing different kinds of roles, so it's good to do.
Okay. What is the directorial challenge in a play like this for you?
Well, I love plays like this where it's all about, the script provides you with everything you need in terms of story, and it's just 2 characters talking, and then it's about figuring out how to really dig deep into that story and make it as interesting and honest as you possibly, and dramatic as you possibly can for an audience. I think the challenge with this one is that it jumps around in time. So there's flashbacks and flash forwards, and you're not always sure where you are, which is fun, but you want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. And yeah, it's a lot of text. I mean, it's 90 minutes of 2 guys talking.
So you have to make sure that it doesn't get too slow with all that talking.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
How do you put some action into it?
I usually find that identifying right away kind of where you can make it as active as possible. And then also, I think if you're lucky, I know I have been, sometimes you go to the theater and an actor's just so tuned in to the text that they're using and the story that they're telling that they're not actually doing any action. They're just telling you the story, and they are so invested, and they are so kind of confident with the mechanics of the story that they're telling that it doesn't matter. You just go there. You think you see everything that they're saying, and that's the goal of a play like this.
And are you seeing that in the performers so far?
Oh yeah, they're doing great. We're having a great time.
Are you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm thinking of a play I saw called Wit. Okay, saw a play called Wit, and the woman who played the lead role did that. I mean, you felt that she was so committed to this performance that you were drawn in
Right.
to it without a lot of action.
And your imagination is activated.
Yes.
So you realize at the end, like, oh, they were just talking, but none of that stuff actually happened, but it happened in my imagination.
How do you choose the plays?
Oh, it's quite a process. So sometimes, it's kind of what Ellen was talking before about the collaborative effort. I only have so many ideas. So sometimes there's a play sometimes there's
How
a
many?
play
Wait.
Yeah.
How many ideas do you have?
Like 2, and I've used them both up.
Yeah. Okay.
So, so sometimes there'll be a script that I come across that I really, really like, that I really want to do. Sometimes there'll be a person that I really want to work with that will have an idea, or that, because you know a particular person, it's easier to sort of look for something that's going to fit that. And then sometimes I just get suggestions from other people. Sometimes Ellen will have a play that she's like, you got to look at this, you got to take, what do you think of this? Or sometimes somebody else will suggest something. I'm always open to suggestions, because you get the most unusual and interesting plays. We did a show a couple of years ago called H2O, which was a brand new play.
I saw it.
And that was literally just suggested to me by Jack Ruler.
I know who that is, actually.
He just said, hey, this appeal to you? And I said yes. So you never know where a suggestion is going to come from, and I kind of like that.
Because I was preparing for this, I went through all the Pulitzer Prize winning plays for the last 53, I don't know how many years there's been. Oh my goodness, there are some fantastic plays.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great way,
Just
actually. I've done that before.
Just
where
looking
you
at that list,
Yep.
it was fun. I want to see those plays. I find that when I go to plays, I'm not seeing young people. By young people, for me, of course, that would be anyone who's 90 or younger.
Below.
But I noticed that if I'm 24 years old, I can pay $14 to come to this play rather than the full price, and that's a great thing. But how else are you trying to get young people involved in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so that is one thing that we do definitely to try to bring in new audiences. One of the things is that audiences don't just happen overnight, and we have to find a way to compete with television and movies. When Ellen was talking before about everything that's on demand, everything that you can put in your living room, one of the things is that, well, live theater is the opposite of that. It's an experience. And one thing that a lot of young people are tuned into is the idea of an experience.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I mean? That's what a lot of the things that they're looking for are.
It's kind of quasi-virtual.
Yes, well, this is an experience, and so that's, I think, one of the keys that we look for to try to reach out to developing younger audiences.
I thought of myself as a young man when I'm single, and what I wanted to say to people was, if you're a man and you want to impress a woman, don't take her to a movie, take her to a play, and then talk to her afterwards about the play.
Yes.
It will work miracles.
Works great.
You'll be happy. I've got experience with that. And if you're a woman and you're tired of the guy talking about himself and sports and his job, okay, take him to a play, and then talk to him afterwards about the play, and you might learn something about this guy, and he might open up a little bit. It works, don't you think?
It does, and you've just had a shared experience, because you haven't just seen something. You've been, in a sense, a participant.
Right.
You're right there in the same room.
Right.
And at our theater, we're lucky in that we have a brewery right at the front of the theater, Lake Monster Brewery. Tap rooms right.
So
you can have a beer right
there.
A beer afterwards.
We've got 20 seconds. So thank you guys very much for this experience, and this is Bob Kaufman for Small Theater, Big Talent. I'll see you at the theater later.